Hey guys, James again for TFB TV, and today I've got the Springfield XDm in 9mm. This is a pretty exciting offering, especially for you guys that have a 9mm suppressor. And why is that? You've got 1/2x28 threads, and you've got raised, you can see, raised sights on here. So this thing is right out of the box, perfect and ready for a 9mm suppressor. There's quite a few additions Springfield's made. First, you've got some pretty aggressive grip striation. They've also slightly modified the frame, still has the Picatinny rail underneath the dust cover, and it still has the grip safety that a lot of people seem to really love. Again, you have very aggressive texturing on the front and the back strap of the grip, and interchangeable back straps. This XDm came with 3. They say this comes with a match grade barrel, so you should get pretty good accuracy out of it. They also have the minimal reset trigger, which they say is the shortest travel and shortest reset for any polymer pistol on the market today. I'll give that a shot later and let you know what I think. They've got what they call the maximum reach magazine release, and it's an ambi-mag release. It doesn't protrude too much out of the frame. It's just right, and it's good tension. Then they have what they call the magazine now, which is cute, you know, the magazine. And that's a 19 round magazine. So you can stuff 20 rounds of 9mm into this thing, 19 in the mag, 1 in the chamber. That's pretty impressive. And it's about the same size, as far as I can tell, as my Glock 17. Seems like it's got the same melanite finish that the XDs have always had, which should take some abuse. I mean, this is a good looking gun. I like it with the FDE. Of course, I'm sure they're gonna make it in black. But let's give it a shot, and we'll try it suppressed, unsuppressed, see how it does. I'm looking forward to this. The XDm is one of the most well-presented handguns that I've seen. It comes with this Pelican-style lockable case with 2 pretty heavy-duty clasps. And check this out. You've got it, everything's cut out in some nice closed-cell foam. You, of course, have your XD. 3 19-round magazines, pretty impressive. You've got your mag holster, Springfield standard holster, mag loader if you need that, a couple extra grip panels. Pretty nice. Nice little presentation here. That said, the XDm comes in a nice little package, but if you're like me at all, you are constantly worried about your optics mounting solutions on your gun cases. And thank God Springfield has you covered with Picatinny rail on either side of the case. So I've got some 124 grain 9mm compliments of one of our new sponsors, Ventura Munitions. Great company. Thanks guys for sending the ammo. We'll run it through this XD, see how it does. Not bad. I've shot a few 100 rounds through today. No failures to feed, no failures to eject. It's been 100% reliable. As far as the minimal reset trigger goes, I tend to believe Springfield when they say that this is the shortest traveling and the shortest resetting trigger out there in a polymer pistol. Now, there's quite a bit of take up on the front end, but once you get that initial trigger pull, it's got a nice positive reset. It's a pretty good, I would say it's roughly about a 5.5 pound trigger like the stock Glock, but it's pretty smooth. This polymer frame does a good job of sapping up the recoil, so it's pretty pleasant to shoot. It's been pretty accurate. So far, this performs like a Springfield XD. You're getting what you're used to, but you know, there's some slight modifications and some slight improvements that Springfield added that are good touches to have with it. Let's give one of these magazines, LOL, let's give one of them a shot. 19 rounds. Springfield was kind enough to send me an XDm to try out with a threaded barrel and these raised sights. Like I said, comes out of the box, ready to go for your suppressor. The raised sights are a very nice touch that you don't see often in a gun, even the ones that come with the threaded barrels for suppressors. this is going to be fun. Let's give it a shot. I got the Yankee Hill. I've got a Yankee Hill Cobra this time. See how it does. Of course, with this Nielsen device, it's got a little bit more recoil than if you're shooting it without a suppressor on it. You can definitely feel a little bit more kick. Now, of course, that has nothing to do with the XD itself. That's by virtue of the Nielsen device in the suppressor. And you definitely are getting some blowback. I'm shooting here. I hope I don't have shit all over my face when I'm talking to you, because there's definitely some blowback. But that said, all shots on target, just by virtue of these raised sights. And it's always nice to be able to get a factory threaded barrel and not have to spend a couple $100s to get a threaded barrel that's a third party, that may not have the same fitment. That's a nice touch with this gun. So I've really shot this thing ragged today. Myself and a few of my shooting buddies came out, and we've put several hundred rounds through it. Again, no failures. Everything's been running perfectly. This has been pretty impressive performance from this XD today. Good stuff. So final thoughts on the XDM. I've got bad news for you classic Springfield XD owners, and that news is you're gonna have to spend money to upgrade because this is worth it. The minimal reset trigger on here is excellent. Again, the grip texturing on the frame, the interchangeable back straps, very aggressive checkering on the slide, both the front and the back. It isn't like it's anything revolutionary per se, because how revolutionary can these polymer guns get anymore? But these are some very significant and very useful improvements. Not to mention, one of the huge selling points is you can get 19+1 with flush fit magazines, and it's a pretty trim little grip. So again, I've never really been a huge XD guy, but this XDM's given me second thoughts. This really is a good gun. I've had no problems with it today. Me and several shooters today have run it through the ringer. It's seen several hundred rounds, unlubricated, not cleaned, and it's functioned perfectly. So if you've ever been on the fence about getting a Springfield XD, I can recommend this one to you. I think that Springfield has done a good job. This isn't just a superfluous upgrade. These are substantial, real improvements, and it's a good gun. This is a good polymer pistol. It seems the market's saturated today with high-end polymer pistols, but Springfield's done a good job of trying to set itself apart from the rest of the crowd with these improvements that you don't necessarily find on the other polymer guns. And it seems like the XD has been around now for about as long as anybody else in the game. And it's still kicking, still doing its thing. So if you're in the market for a polymer pistol, I think this is an excellent choice. You can't go wrong with the XDM. Thanks Springfield for sending this to me. God, these flies, dude. Driving me fucking bananas.
Yeah, they're pretty fast.
Yeah, dude. I gotta put more off on. One of them just bit me. And as far as other details that kind of set the XD apart from the rest of the pack, you've got these raised sights and the threaded barrel, the threaded match barrel as factory options. Not to mention the XDM package is pretty impressive, especially if you want a mountain optic on your gun box. No, seriously, it's nice to get the magazine holster, the gun holster, 3 19-round factory magazines, the gun all in a very nice, very durable and lockable box. Excellent job with the presentation, Springfield. So thanks again, Springfield, for letting me demo this gun. Thank you to Grizzly Targets, one of our new sponsors. Thank you to Mike at Ventura Munitions, who's killing it as usual. He supplied all the ammo for this shoot. And thank you to the TFB TV viewers. Appreciate your views, appreciate your subscriptions. Most of the time your comments are okay. No, thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. See you next time.